What's the difference between a caucus and a primary?
Oh, I would love to educate you on this. A caucus is really different. And a caucus is really interesting because you get to participate in democracy in a different way. It's much different than a primary, which is really a simulated vote. A primary, you just go in, you vote like you do in a general election, and you leave. In a caucus, you really get to hear from people about why they're supporting this candidate or that candidate in particular.
Typically, you have to go to that place, be there before 7 o'clock when it starts. You have to already be registered. You go do your thing, may take you an hour, 2 hours, maybe longer if it's a really big one.
You show up and you count off, so you find out how many people are in your space. Usually we end up in like an elementary cafeteria or a gymnasium or at a church.
You get together with your neighbors. There are conversations about issues and candidates.
The last caucus I was at, it basically was a hollering match.
Listen!
Seemed like Hillary's people voted the hollered the loudest.
You divide up, so everybody who's behind candidate A, you go in that corner, candidate B, candidate C.
So you'll see signs for example, Elizabeth Warren. You'll choose where you want to go stand and you're going to count off. And if your group is viable, it means you have a high enough percentage of people in the room.
Unless you get at least 15% of everyone in that room, you don't really earn any true support for a candidate. So if your candidate is below that 15% threshold, you essentially become a free agent. You can go jump to another one.
In the last caucus, I caucused for Martin O'Malley. I did that on purpose because I wanted to be wanted. And so I was interested to say, like, I'm not really sure who I want to support yet, but if I go to Martin O'Malley, he won't be viable. And so the people are going to come from the Clinton side and the Sanders side, and they're going to try to talk us into supporting one of them. You're going to go and you're going to send people, like your neighbors or your fellow family members, you're going to send them over to those camps and say, come over to Elizabeth Warren's side. And what's cool is you have to know a lot more about the candidates in order to convince those neighbors to come stand with you.
And at the end of the night, they count them all up, and that's how they figure out delegates eventually.
Vote whoever you want to vote for, write it on a piece of paper.
Donald Trump actually came and spoke at our caucus site, and each candidate has either comes themselves or has a representative to talk about each of the candidates. And then a lot of times you'll write your ballot on paper, you'll go up and place it in the box. Each candidate has a representative watching the vote count to make sure that it's legit, and that's how it all comes together, and then they just count the paper votes. There's no Russians involved in it.